So if your mornings are running smoothly, but your afternoons are starting to feel a bit chaotic, it might not always be a coincidence. So we're going to analyze time of day performance and reveal if your dispatch model can absorb, variability or if it's going to collapse. And so this KPI is going to show exactly where your day stops being predictable. So I'm going to show you how to create these analysis where it's going to be a percent. So 83% of jobs that are from 7 to 9 were on time. 1% were 0 to 15 minutes late, 3% were 15 to 30, and then 13% were late. And then do a job count, and then also just show by technician. So, Jason Thompson and Kevin O'Neill, 24% of the time that, they're not on time. Okay, so in the data set, and if you want this data set, there's a link to download it. And if you can't find it, just let me know. Just shoot me an email, and I'll give you my email here at the end. Okay, so these 5 we need to calculate. And so these formulas are going to look a little bit intimidating, but they're not, I promise. So what this is saying is that if the hour here, let me go back to the formula. So if the hour of the scheduled start time is less than 9, then it's 7 to 9. Right? If it's less than 11, it's 9 to 11. If it's less than 13, it's 11 to 1. Less than 15, so on and so forth. So the hour function will just pull out the hour. It'll put it in, 0 to 24 hours. It won't be like, it won't say 1 p.m. It would say 13. So that's that formula. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, once you understand just a little bit of it, you can just redo, over and over and over again, like the if section. And this is another if-s function, and this is saying if the arrival time is less than the scheduled window in time, then you're on time, right? If you show up before the end, like it's like, hey, I'll be there from, 8 to 10. And if you show up before 10, the scheduled end time, then you're on time. And then these are saying that, if the scheduled end time is 15 minutes less than your arrival time, then you're 0 to 15 minutes late, right? 0 to 30 minutes late, 30 plus late. And then this one is just saying if the actual arrival time is before the scheduled window in, then you're on time. Yeah, it's just binary, yes or no. And then these are just calculating minutes early versus minutes late. And so it's just subtracting, right? So it's just saying here, you're early if the arrival time is before the window start. Hey, I'll be there 8 to 10. You get there at 7:55. You're early. And then the late is just the other side of that. Hey, I'll be there 8 to 10. You get there at 10:20. You're 20 minutes late, right? So because you have a window, you have to use the beginning time. If you show up before, that's going to be early, and use the ending time. If you show up after, you're going to be late. Okay. 3 minutes to explain that. So now what we need to do is we need to get a unique list of this, which is just your arrival status. Super straightforward. Equals unique because we want a unique list. And then go here, arrival status, click on the word arrival status, control, hold down control, shift and the down arrow. And then you get this here. Press Control C and then Control Shift V to remove the formula because we have to reorder this. And so what you'll notice is that you can't do it this way because this doesn't make sense, right? And so you'll have to sort of just drag these up and then you're good here. Okay, so the next thing we need is the sort of the windows, right? This right here. The window bucket. So again, same exact thing. And then again, highlight everything, Control C, Control Shift V, and then Victor. I know I'm going fast. It's just if I go any slower, these videos are going to be 30 minutes long. Okay, so same thing here. We need to organize this in a way that is sequential. So 11 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, after hours. Perfect. And now we want these across the top here, so I'll show you a quick little trick. Highlight everything, press Control C to copy, and then right-click and then hit ST on your keyboard, Special Transpose, right? So paste Special Transpose. All right, moving along. So the next thing we need to do is we need to count how many jobs were between 7 and 9 a.m. and on time, right? So that's sort of step one. So it's COUNTIFS because multiple criteria with COUNTIFS. So how many of these, comma, were 7 to 9, comma, so that's criteria 1. And then criteria 2 is the arrival status, comma, and then right here, and then enter. So we have 275. We need 275 of the jobs from 7 to 9 a.m. were on time, but we want a percentage. So how do we get a percentage? We need to divide this 275 by the total number of jobs that were from 7 to 9. And so I'll show you. So all we have to do is just a COUNTIF, right? So how many of these, comma, were here? 331. So now we just divide the two, right? So what I'll do is I'll copy this here and then divide by that. And now we have a percentage. So next what we want to do is we want to drag this over and drag this down. Like we want to do this, but we can't. And the reason is because these columns are changing. Like C2 is becoming D2. B3 is becoming C3. Right, so you can see D2, C3. So that's not going to work because we're looking for on time. You can sort of see the red box, but here it's not on time anymore. It's here. So what we need to do is we need to be like, hey, Excel, as I drag over, I want the time 7 to 9 a.m. I want that to change, but I don't want the arrival status to change. But as I drag up and down, top to bottom, I want the time bucket 7 to 9 a.m. to stay the same, but I want on time to go to 0 to 15, 15 to 30. So what you have to do is you have to do what's called absolute and relative references. And so an absolute reference is when you lock everything. So meaning whenever you see these dollar signs now if I drag over or up and down, it'll never change. With the column, if you drag up and down, it'll never change anyways. But as I drag it over, it won't change. So anywhere you see like just a column like that, just fill it in or just use the F4 key and fill it with the dollar signs. So before the letters. And then for the blue here, which is the row, we want to put the dollar sign in the middle. So you can just type Shift 4. And then here you can type Shift 4 again, or you can just press F4 until you see it go. You can cycle through all the different, relative and absolute references. And then here, same thing, but we want it to be in the middle. Okay, so if I know what I'm doing, if I copy that and paste it, now we have the percentages. And now we can do the conditional formatting, color scales, and you can just pick, green is high, red is low. And then we want total jobs. So how can we do this where we don't have to redo the whole formula, right? So what we can do is we just want this section here, right? The total number of jobs. And then you can copy that and then you can paste it over. Okay, so we have this part done. So now we want to do that same formula, like dividing the two, but instead of doing it by 7 to 9 and on time, we just want to do it by the technician and on time. I'll show you what I mean. So to get a unique list of the technicians, it's just like we did before, if you remember, using the unique function. So equals unique, and then go here, click on cell K1 where the technician is, and then Control Shift and the down arrow, and then enter. And now you have a list of everybody. But let's remove the formula. So highlight everything, Control C, Control Shift V, and now the formula is removed. And the reason why you want to remove the formula is because we're going to sort these names in a little bit. Okay, so now we want an on-time rate and a benchmark. So what we do here is we need to do a COUNTIF, right? Multiple criteria. And the first criteria is going to be the technician range, K, and then comma, and then here. And so I'll stop there. So there's 51 jobs in this data set for Alex Rodriguez. And then what we want to do here is we want to add another criteria over here and then comma, and then use your open your quotations and type in on dash time. So 45. So 45 out of 51 jobs, he was on time, right? So now we can highlight this, copy it, divided by the same thing, but delete this section, the on time and data AB. And the reason we're deleting it is because we don't care about on time. We just want to know how many rows is he in the data set, right? 88%. Make it a percentage. You can add a decimal if you want, and then you can just double click. And we're good to go. And so now what you might want is you might want to benchmark, let's say 85%. And we can remove a decimal here. And then underneath do equals the one above it, and then you can actually let's wait. I'll show you why, because we're gonna run into some issues if we do. So then the next thing you want to do is you want to sort this largest to smallest, just like you see here. And the way you do that is just click anywhere where the numbers are, go to data, and then largest to smallest, so Z to A, essentially. But you gotta fix this. I don't know why Excel does this, it's actually sort of annoying. But it is sorted largest to smallest. It's just for whatever reason the formula doesn't carry over. Okay, and so now, we could do, say, 85%, and then equals the one above it, and then double click down. Okay, so now we want to create this chart, right? And so we're going to have two different things here. We're going to show the technician percentage and then a benchmark. And so the way you do that is you can just click anywhere in the data here and then go to insert. And it's a little bit tricky because if you look at recommended charts, you're not going to see anything. And then if you go to like all charts, you're still, you're not going to see the exact one unless you go to combo. And when you go to combo, you can choose like this specific series, I wanted a clustered column, and this specific series, I want it to be a line. And then you can click OK. And we can call this on time arrival rate by technician. Okay, but what I'm going to do is just make this a little bit bigger. So a couple things. One, I want to make it bigger. And then now I want to change this axis. I don't want 0 to be the minimum because it bunches everything together. So on this one, we did 70. So let's do 70. Just double click on the axis, on the actual numbers, and then right here where you see the minimum, change it to 0.7. And now it makes a little bit more sense. And then for the orange line, I mean, if you want the values for the columns, you can click on the columns, click the crosshair, data labels. And then for the orange line, if you want to maybe make it a little bit thinner, just click on it. And then you can, just so it's not so thick and in the way. Just, you can see a light benchmark. All right. So 13 and a half minutes in, and yeah, so that's how you can create those things. And so again, if you have any questions, shoot me an email. Questions, well, I can't spell. questions@databoards.io. And also, if you need some help cleaning up your data to get it in a format that's actually usable, there's a link to where you can just hop on my calendar, or you can just shoot me an email. But anyways, that's all I got for this video, and I will see you in future videos.